Welcome back to Critical Mass, the show that criticizes the critics. With the lighter, brighter tone of Aquaman and Shazam, the DCEU seems to be taking a page straight out of Marvel's playbook, taking their heroes and injecting them with a sizable sense of humor. However, fans of the darker, edgier DC may not be happy with this, especially considering that this is a cheap trick that seems to get used a lot when it comes to movies from the House of Ideas. Which begs the question, are MCU characters too funny? First, let me make it clear that I'm not talking about comical comic characters such as Spider-Man or Deadpool. In fact, one of my few complaints about Sam Raimi's Spider-Man was that he wasn't funny enough, which was also one of my many complaints about Deadpool at the end of Wolverine Origins. This video is going to be focusing on the many characters in the MCU who inherited a serious upgrade to their funny bone when they went from panel to motion picture, and we might as well start with the one that started it all, Iron Man. Tony Stark in the comics was a much less jovial character before Robert Downey Jr. took on the role. Events such as Demon in the Bottle, the suicide of Obadiah Stane, and Tony's entire character arc in Civil War just shows how unfunny old Shellhead used to be. However, once former SNL cast member RDJ hit theaters as Iron Man, everything changed, embodying one of the core concepts of the character and taking it to the next level. Because one of the early ideas behind Tony Stark was that he was going to be a weapons maker, debuting to readers during the anti-war era of the 1960s. But despite being everything that a peace-loving hippie would hate, the goal was to make him likable anyway. Readers initially took to his broken heart metaphor and appreciated his redemption story, which gave him moderate success. Although moving forward, the MCU gave him a much less conservative persona and emphasized his intelligence as a gearhead and focused less on his militaristic mindset. He bumbled around like a superhero Tim the Toolman Taylor, he talked to robots, and he partied like a rock star, acting way less like comic book Tony and acting more like Tony Bourdain. This turned him from a mildly recognizable comic book character to one of the most popular Marvel characters there ever was. And so, unsurprisingly, Marvel figured that, hey, if the strategy worked once, it was definitely worth repeating. Star-Lord, Ant-Man, Doctor Strange, these are all characters that were not seen as A-listers from the comics, but all became a lot quippier, a lot snarkier, and a lot funnier upon entering the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Even characters that were already established in Marvel films but failed to gain the success that Marvel had grown accustomed to would receive a heavy dose of humor right in the middle of their MCU lifespan, as the film Thor Ragnarok did when Taika Waititi turned Thor into a goofball and the Hulk into a 3-year-old in a giant green body. But let's get down to business. Are Marvel characters too funny? Yes. Look, I'm all about levity, and I'm glad that the DCEU is lightening up, with Shazam being my favorite movie in the DCEU so far. But just like how I don't need Batman making jokes, I don't need every Marvel character that can't get over making with the haha either. Now, I personally didn't enjoy Thor Ragnarok, and I know many people did, and that's fine, but for me, the out-of-character humorization of both Thor and Hulk really took away from the previously established characters and the film in general. But I don't necessarily mind it as much when you take a character like Tony Stark or Peter Quill and make them more comedic right from their debut in the MCU, because I can accept that this version of the character has a sense of humor even if they're not being comic book accurate. Doctor Strange would have been just fine if he wasn't a smart mouth and if his cape wasn't his comedic partner. Marvel has fallen into a rut where they rely too heavily on humor. They use it to break serious moments or to make fun of things that they're afraid the audience will find campy, preemptively poking fun at something before the viewing public does in order to try and avoid the ridicule altogether.
I'm Ant-Man. I know. Wasn't my idea.
They joke about things like Ant-Man's name and power, even though they're both perfectly acceptable in a comic book world. They make fun of the magical, mystical elements of Doctor Strange, even though Harry Potter is one of the most successful franchises of all time. The point is, some characters need to not be funny, not only because it's not accurate to the source material, but also because we need diversity in our comic book character personality types, and also because sometimes Marvel needs to have the confidence behind their properties to know that their backstories, their personalities, and their creative teams are capable of executing a great movie about a real character without needing a sense of humor as a crutch.